The old brick walls of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum stood silent in the early Boston morning air. But those walls held secrets that would echo across decades. Hidden inside were treasures, masterpieces of unmatched beauty, rare relics of human creativity that had survived centuries of war, peace, and chance. On March 18, 1990, those treasures vanished into the night, leaving a mystery that still haunts art lovers and crime investigators around the world. Imagine walking through a gallery where every brushstroke tells a story, a space with a quiet rustle of footsteps is the only sound, where the visitor's whispers blend with the soft glow of museum lights. That was the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, a place where Isabella herself designed every room so each artwork was displayed just as she intended. It wasn't just a building filled with art. It was art. But in the early hours of that March Sunday, something unimaginable happened. A theft that would become the largest art heist in history. A crime so audacious it seemed ripped from the pages of a thriller. 13 works of art, valued then at hundreds of millions of dollars and worth far more today, disappeared without a trace. To this day, no one has been formally arrested, and none of the stolen pieces have been recovered. Before we dive deeper, hit subscribe so you don't miss the whole unraveling mystery of this cold case that still grips the art world decades later. Every twist and unanswered question in this saga will make you wonder, how did they pull it off, and where are the masterpieces now? It was a chilly Sunday night in Boston, just after St. Patrick's Day celebrations had wound down. The streets outside the Gardner Museum were quiet, but not lifeless. Revelers still wander home from parties, unaware that an event was about to unfold that would shake the city. In the museum security office, 2 guards, Rickabath and Randy Heston, wrapped up their rounds. Heston was new to the night shift, just weeks into the job. He would soon be part of the story that would define the mystery of a generation. Around 1:24 a.m., the museum intercom buzzed. On the other side were 2 men dressed in police uniforms, claiming they were responding to a disturbance. Trusting the uniform, the guards buzzed them in. It was a moment of good faith that would change everything. The officers moved with confidence, too much confidence. Within moments, they had convinced the guards to step away from their posts under the pretext of an investigation. The tension in that small security office was building, but the guards didn't yet know whom they were really facing. And then, without warning, the facade dropped. The guards were overpowered, hands bound, mouths sealed with duct tape, and whisked away to the cold basement of the museum. For the next 81 minutes, the fate of priceless art will be decided in silence, shadow, and precision. Inside the darkened galleries of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, the 2 men in police uniforms moved with chilling efficiency. They had a plan, and every step was executed with meticulous precision. One of the intruders carried a bag. The other held a flashlight, slicing beams across the centuries-old paintings and delicate frames that adorned the walls. The silence of the museum was broken only by the faint rustle of footsteps on polished wood floors. The first works to vanish were Vermeer's The Concert and Rembrandt's The Storm on the Sea of Galilee. Each painting was ripped from its frame with careful hands, avoiding damage that might alert authorities later. The thieves seemed to know the museum layout intimately, bypassing security measures and heading straight to the most valuable pieces. The sheer audacity of their method was terrifying. Over in the Dutch room, the intruders worked quickly, stripping paintings from their gilded frames and rolling them carefully into the duffel bags. Botticelli's The Adoration of the Magi and Manet's Chez Tortoni followed, as if they were collecting trophies in a game that only they could see. Each brushstroke represented centuries of human creativity, gone in minutes. The thieves were methodical, almost clinical. They did not damage the artworks, but the museum would never be the same. Glass cases were left open, sculptures were untouched but strategically ignored, and yet the sense of violation was total. In just over an hour, 13 masterpieces were gone. When the clock struck 2:05 a.m., the men disappeared into the night, leaving the museum empty, the guards bound and terrified in the basement. The stolen works included paintings, sketches, and an ancient Chinese gu, each priceless, each irreplaceable. The total value? Over $500 million, and the cultural loss was incalculable. But more than money, the theft was an emotional blow. The museum itself, curated by Isabella Stewart Gardner, had been desecrated. Empty frames now hung as ghostly reminders of what had been lost. By the time the guards freed themselves and called the police, the city of Boston was awakening to a crime that would become legendary. Investigators arrived, combing the building for evidence, but the trail was cold. The thieves had left little behind. A few fingerprints, some duct tape, and a faint outline of their meticulous planning. Interviews with the guards revealed that the thieves spoke in calm, authoritative tones, giving orders as though they owned the museum. The security cameras had been poorly positioned, and some footage was missing, leaving investigators with frustratingly little to go on. This was not a crime of opportunity. It was carefully orchestrated. Early leads pointed in multiple directions. Organized crime? Perhaps. A professional crew of art thieves? Possibly. Even museum insiders were considered suspects, but no definitive evidence emerged. Over the following weeks, investigators interviewed hundreds of people, followed dozens of tips, and still, the stolen art remained missing. The museum, meanwhile, mourned its loss. Visitors would walk past empty frames and feel the weight of absence, a void where centuries of artistry once lived. Scholars and curators despair at the thought that masterpieces by Vermeer, Rembrandt, and Botticelli might never be recovered. The list of stolen works reads like a who's who of European art. Vermeer's The Concert, a luminous piece of delicate domestic intimacy, vanished, leaving an empty frame where the subtle interplay of light and shadow once mesmerized every viewer. Rembrandt's A Storm on the Sea of Galilee, the only known seascape by the artist, disappeared into obscurity, its turbulent waves now hauntingly absent. Botticelli's The Adoration of the Magi, a masterpiece of the Italian Renaissance, was stripped from the museum walls, leaving curators to imagine how light once danced on the gold accents, how Isabella Stewart Gardner herself had arranged the canvas for maximum effect. Manet's Chez Tortoni, an intimate Parisian scene, was gone too, along with works by Flink, Goya, and others, each representing centuries of culture, thought, and skill. Even smaller, less famous pieces were lost, including a Chinese gu, an ancient ceremonial vase, and a finial from a Napoleonic flag. The thieves had taken not only money, but the soul of the museum itself. Empty frames now hung like ghosts, silent reminders of the theft that no bounty, reward, or investigative breakthrough could undo. The sheer audacity of the theft, combined with the cultural and historical weight of the stolen works, made the case headline news around the world. Experts warned that once art disappears into the black market, recovery is extremely unlikely. Yet, despite decades passing, hope lingered. The FBI maintains an active investigation to this day, offering a $10 million reward for information leading to the return of the pieces. Over the years, the Gardner heist has spawned countless theories, some plausible, others almost conspiratorial in nature. Organized crime has long been suspected. Boston in the late 1980s and early 1990s had its share of mob activity, and some investigators believe the heist was a professional hit for high-stakes resale on the black market. Other theories suggest the theft was a work of skilled art thieves with inside knowledge of museum operations. The precision and efficiency displayed on that night indicate careful planning and familiarity with the museum layout, security lapses, and high-value targets. Some even speculate that individuals close to the museum itself may have provided information, though no proof has ever surfaced. Despite thousands of leads and decades of investigation, the trail has gone cold more than once. Some stolen works are rumored to have been stored in private collections. Others may have been lost forever, damaged, or even destroyed. Each new tip reignites hope, only to dissolve into the same tension and frustration felt in 1990. The enduring mystery lies not only in who took the art, but why it has never surfaced. Experts, investigators, and treasure hunters continue to speculate. Were the thieves motivated purely by profit, or was there a deeper connection, an obsession, or a personal vendetta against the museum? The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist is more than a cold case. It is a cautionary tale, a symbol of cultural loss, and a reminder of the fragility of human heritage. For decades, visitors have been drawn to the museum not only to see the art that remains, but to stand before the empty frames and imagine what once hung there. Curators continue to honor Isabella Stewart Gardner's vision, displaying the museum as she intended, even with the voids haunting the galleries. The theft has inspired countless books, documentaries, and media investigations, keeping public attention alive and shining a spotlight on the global black market for stolen art. Law enforcement continues to seek the missing pieces, treating each lead with utmost seriousness. Tips are reviewed meticulously, suspects interviewed, and rewards remain posted, yet the thieves and the stolen masterpieces remain elusive. The world waits, decades later, for a breakthrough that might finally restore the museum's treasures. More than 3 decades after that fateful night, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist continues to fascinate, frustrate, and haunt the public imagination. 13 priceless works of art, worth hundreds of millions of dollars, remain missing. The museum stands as both a sanctuary of culture and a reminder of what can vanish in a single night of audacity. The story of the Gardner heist is one of tension, mystery, and human curiosity, the perfect example of how crime and culture intertwine. Each unanswered question, each empty frame, forces us to confront the fragility of beauty and history. For those intrigued by the unsolved, the mysterious, and the audacious, the Gardner Museum heist remains an enduring puzzle. And as long as the mystery lives, so too does our fascination with the shadows of human ambition and the vanished treasures of our collective past. If this story captivated you, make sure to subscribe and join us for more true crime mysteries and unsolved cases that will keep you on the edge of your seat.